tense up just a little bit. You know, I've stood here countless times for even this family.
Yes.
When somebody's gone home, I've stood here with close friends that have honored me to share some remarks, but this one's different.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't never been here. But I'm grateful. You know, in just a few short remarks, I want to share maybe what I taught my mama, what my mama taught me, and then I want to just kind of talk about them bus trips. We among family. Talk about them bus trips. I remember, you know, anytime you take a long distance trip when you're driving, and you got somebody sitting in the passenger side, it comes with responsibility. You know, so we were on a trip. Mom was sitting beside me, Dad was in the back, and I had to teach Mom something. That now, Mom, when we go up under this underpass, this overpass, you need to kind of look and just make sure the police ain't sitting there on the bank from me, right? And so I got it. Come up on the first overpass, pass under, virtually about a half mile down the road, my mama do one of these. I say, Mom, they have us right about now. You turned a little bit too late. My mom, I remember in the late 60s and the early 70s, a lot of things have been said about my mom about how beautiful she was, and she was inside and out. How much of a giver she was, how unselfish she was, how much she loved. And she would never let you go lacking if she had. And I remember in the late 60s, early 70s, when Mom got paid, she'd take Canderson out of Saks Fifth Avenue. We used to look forward to them paydays. We go to lunch, and we would observe back then that we didn't see a whole lot of folk that looked like us. And it was years later that Mom, in one of our private moments, she'd say, son, you know why I used to take you and your sister to Saks? Because I wanted to give you some exposure. So that whenever you saw it again, you know how to act. You wouldn't get so wide-eyed. And you don't look down. You don't get puffy, and you don't turn up your nose. But you look folks square in the eye. You have to believe that you belong. My mother's lesson to my sister and I, with this simple experience of where we shopped, it was not about the store, it was about the experience and the lesson learned. Finally, we've had some legendary bus trips. Is you to say legendary? Yeah. We've had some legendary bus trips.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, from pulling off from Uncle Johnny's, if I can say, we wouldn't be on the highway 5 minutes. Uncle Johnny said, hey, when are we going to get to that Cracker Barrel? we had an itinerary, Bishop, that kind of had it laid out, had it committed. Cracker Barrel was like 2 hours later, but we were on the highway 5 minutes. And Uncle Johnny said, when are we going to get to that Cracker Barrel? We rolled into Cape Girardeau, and we'd have breakfast. We're a good family. We're a loving family. We rolled into Memphis, and we introduced the kids to Beale Street. We rolled through Philadelphia, Mississippi, and let them know that you can always roll through here like that. You need to understand our history here, with signs that might be hanging off of one hook that said white only. Okay, see, we want you all to understand that it wasn't always like this. You got to know your history. You got to know your family. And of all the places I've traveled, that trip to Mississippi always rang special to me. And so on one of these trips, and like Uncle Charlie said 2 years ago, Uncle said, this is going to be my last trip. And we wanted to make sure that it was special. And about 5 years ago or so was Mom's last trip to Mississippi. And a few years before that, I recall. See, we never sat in the same seat for the whole trip. We kind of moved around, and Aunt Jean and Aunt Catherine, they looked for two that they could beat up on and some big whiz. This on the bus. You know, we got movies going on, and Cousin Paris playing songs from the oldies that the kids didn't understand. You know, Nancy Wilson, they never heard of Nancy. But Paris was in charge of the music, and you know, we all know how it counts. 1, 2. Those are legendary trips on the bus. But as we kind of moved around and circulated, and here's my point. I sat beside my mother, and the scenery was changing. It was going from city to country. You know what my mama said to me? I'm going home. Man. See, of all the years that she lived in East St. Louis, she never considered that to be home. And she lit up and said, I'm going home. Last Wednesday, God said, even DeKalb, Mississippi ain't your home. Come on home. Thank you, God. Thank you for the life of my mother. Thank you for this family. I pray that in her memory, that we continue to live in a manner that's respectful, that's decent and loving, that we have care for one another, and you never look down on anybody unless you're reaching down to pick them up. We are family. God bless you. Lift your heads up. Mom's at peace. She's at rest. We release her with the confidence that one day we're going to see her again. God bless you, family. I love you. Thank you.